What's going on, everybody? I'm Alex Americano, and today we're going to talk about the story of Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot saying 99% of the criticism that she receives is because she's a black woman. Not because of the job she does, not because of how Chicago is being run. It's just because she's a black woman. Come on, everybody. Don't stop seeing color. Don't judge her for being a black woman. I have an article here from Fox 32 in Chicago, and we're going to read a little bit out of it, and then I'm going to roll you the clip of where she admits 99% of her criticism comes just because she's a black woman. Starting with the article, a Southside alderwoman on Wednesday rejected Mayor Lori Lightfoot's claim that 99% of her critics are motivated by racism or sexism. Mayor Lightfoot said she is being judged in ways her two previous white male predecessors were not. The mayor said virtually all of her criticism she receives is because she's a black woman. About 99% of it, Lightfoot said. Look at my predecessors. Did people say that Rich Daley held tea sessions with people that he didn't disagree on? Rahm Emanuel was a polite guy who was a uniter. No, women and people of color are always held to a different standard. Continuing on, it said that Chicago's 20th Ward alderwoman Jeanette Taylor, who has had public disagreements with Lightfoot, called the mayor's claim a cop-out. And it really is a cop-out. Instead of how you're running the city, your performance as a mayor, you want to deflect all the blame on race, gender, sex. That's how everything is today. Instead of owning up to a mistake, you want to deflect the blame to something else. Oh, I'm black, I'm brown, I'm male, I'm female. Just own up to it. If you deflect blame, then you're just trying to hide something else. Don't just push the normal, same old stuff that people like Lori Lightfoot, other Democrats push. They want to make it about race and about gender rather than who you are as a person. All right, and in the clip, you're going to pretty much just hear everything that I've just read, but straight from her. And once we see it, I'll break it down and I'll let you know what I think. Let's roll the clip.
How much of this do you think might have to do with the fact that you're a woman, and specifically a black woman?
About 99% of it. Women and people of color are always held to a different standard. I understand that. I've known that my whole life. And the Tribune or whoever can write what they want. What I'm doing is fighting for the residents of the city. The critics, some of them who are out there, are criticizing me because they don't like to see a woman assume power and forge ahead on an agenda.
All right, I just had to stop it right there. I don't really want to continue on listening to this BS right here. But the fact is, she wanted to make it about her race, her gender. That's not the case. You're not being held to a different standard because you're a black woman. It doesn't matter if you're a male or a female, and whatever race you are, that doesn't determine the standard that people will hold you to. It's people in your position that are held to a different standard. You're the mayor of one of the most dangerous cities. Instead of actually doing something to curb the crime, you're constantly blaming other states. You're constantly shifting blame from yourself to everyone else. But you never want to step up and own it. You're the mayor of Chicago. You got to put your foot down and actually do something. But instead, you fight for the wrong things. You push the wrong things. You say you do what's best for your residents. How was any of what you've done recently or your time in your position? How have you done anything for your residents? I have some other articles that I want to discuss. This is secureamericanow.org, and it's a list of cities that are defunding the police. And you can scroll through it, show you the different cities. Minneapolis, Seattle, New York. Oh, what's this? Chicago. Right here, quote from Chicago City Council. It's time for our city to seriously look at cutting the police budget. Right here it says May through July of 2020, there was 1,130 shootings and 212 of them fatal. Now, if you want to do what's best for your residents, you wouldn't allow this behavior, the rioting, or as people like Lori Lightfoot and Joe Biden like to call, peaceful protests, peaceful gatherings. If you cared about your residents, you wouldn't defund the police. I mean, what is defunding them going to do? Allow people to do whatever they want? I mean, that's pretty much how it already is, and it has been in Chicago even before she took her position. It's not all of a sudden, as soon as she took her position, that people were going to blame everything on her. Chicago's been like this, been pretty bad city for a long time. And on to an article right here from citybureau.org. The mayor's proposed budget includes an $80 million reduction in tax dollars going to CPD, but only about $34 million will come from cuts in vacant positions. Now, I understand that this article goes to explain that these cuts and their budget deficit shortfalls is because of the coronavirus, the pandemic. If that's the case, where there's a deficit that's actually due to the pandemic, then I'd understand if you'd have to go and find where you can cut the budget. But this seems to be more of a plan to use the pandemic as an excuse to cut the budget for the police departments. Because right here, next quote: if you really want to reimagine policing and move towards alternatives for policing, you have to do a lot more than just eliminate some vacant positions. I mean, you have people saying they want to push things like that, but you still support the residents. You want to push these radical ideas to take money from police departments and other departments that definitely need funding, and you want to put it towards community-based violence reduction efforts. You want to send in unarmed people to deal with hostile situations, regardless of whether it be homeless people, domestic violence, or drugs or alcohol. You want to send unarmed people who definitely aren't as trained as police officers to handle situations better than a police officer would. I don't see any bad things coming out of that at all. That should work perfectly fine. But the main topic of this video is just to show the main reasons why you are criticized. It's not because of your race, gender, like I said. It's because of the bad job you're doing. I have another website I want to share. If you don't know about this website, it's called Hey Jackass. It's pretty much a website that compiles all of the statistics involving crimes, shootings from plenty of different sources, and it just breaks it down by category. So we can see June totals of 2021, 79 people shot and killed, 415 shot and wounded, 494 total shot, 82 total homicides in June. Now, you can see the different categories: week in progress, year to date. It shows person is wounded every 2 hours and 13 minutes, person is murdered every 12 hours, 20 minutes. Shows a homicide map, breaks it down, which neighborhoods more dangerous than others, shows the homicides, wounded and totals. The main thing on this website that I wanted to show, it'll show the job she's doing. It won't show anything about her color or her gender. You have a homicide trend from 1957 to 2020. You have all of the recent mayors over Chicago, starting from Richard Daley down to Lori Lightfoot. These statistics for Lori Lightfoot says Lightfoot's tally is May 20th, 2019 to December 31st, 2020. Now, for every mayor, I took the term and the homicides and found the average homicide rate for 1 year under each mayor's tenure. And out of everyone, Lori Lightfoot was the most, because for 1 year and several months, you had 1,133 homicides. You could see that Rahm Emanuel and Richard Daley had the highest from the rest. But Richard Daley, he was in position 21 years? Rahm Emanuel, 8 years? So you take these total homicides and you divide it by how many years they were in their position, every single person was still less than Lori Lightfoot. Homicide trends. Police-involved shootings. 2021, there were 3 killed, 6 wounded. And there were 6 CPD officers shot in 2021. Now, that statistic isn't as important to Lori Lightfoot and all the other Democrats, but it is to people like me, people who share my opinions that want to support the police departments. Of course, when you're judging how well she's doing as a mayor, you can't only look to these statistics, to deaths, to gun violence, to shootings. You have to take everything else into consideration. But what Chicago is known for is this right here: the shootings, deaths, homicides. And so I'm using this to show it's not because you're a black woman, because you're terrible at your job. I recommend you to check out this website. You can look over everything, all the statistics they offer, and just get caught up with it. I mean, really understand what's going on in Chicago alone. This is only for Chicago. And scrolling down, they show all of their sources. So it's not like they're making these numbers up. They're actually pulling them from sources. It's people like Lightfoot that try to shift the spotlight from themselves to something else. They would rather make it an issue about race and gender. It's just surprising to see that you wouldn't step up, take responsibility for how things are going in Chicago, take responsibility and show the residents that you want to do a better job protecting them, to stop people from killing each other, wounding each other. Now, I'm not saying that she's directly responsible for everything going on, but if you do things that enable this type of behavior to continue, then it really is just as much your fault. You can't allow this to go on and then blame something else, shift the attention, blame someone else. You got to do better. It's got to be on you to take action, positive actions. I don't believe the criticism you receive is because you're a black woman. I believe the criticism that you receive is because of your actions. Do you?